This lackluster introduction is brought to you by Windows Audio Settings that changed my microphone to the monitor.
I I can't say that this is my biggest pet peeve with Windows because, who can pick? It's like picking your favorite child, right? But I will say it is one of them. This notion that you sit at a computer, use it, do whatever you do. You walk away, go to sleep, come back, and something changed. And I didn't change it, but there we are. So I'm sorry.
I had this great story with a punchline that Paul's already heard about how I was trying to solve burn-in on a monitor because I have
Yep.
Notion and Teams stuck by side, blah, blah, blah. 35 minutes later, I had invented screensavers in my head about how to solve this, and then I realized the mic wasn't working.
I like your AI generated summary of our previous podcast that no one will ever hear. I'll add that I made the joke that you've written another app, which is Brad's version of "You've killed again." It's like we were there,
Yeah.
you know.
Anyways, Microsoft announced a bunch of layoffs.
Yes.
And-
In the wake of making a cajillion dollars. You think I
Yep.
could have looked up that number in the interim there, but I didn't. Which is always the understandable and natural reaction from anybody. They're like, you got to be kidding me. They made so much money. And yeah, I don't know how to answer that complaint. It's completely reasonable, frankly. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah. It's
a tough one.
It is. Layoffs suck, and I think you're right. They just had a record quarter.
I went back, when I wrote about this, I had this vague memory that Amy Hood, because I actually listened to it, right? I listened to the post earnings conference call. I don't usually listen to it, and I don't always just read it straight through. Like when I read the transcript, I like search for terms and I go back and forth. I look. So this time I actually listened to it, and Amy Hood said something that I thought was like a preview of, because there were rumors of layoffs. And I did find this quote where, this is the thing I don't think people understand about Satya Nadella, which is how kind of brutally aggressive he is about employees and the company meeting, the needs of the business, right? And she said something like, basically we're going to get rid of like the low performers kind of thing. We're going to streamline operations. There's been talk about getting rid of layers of management, that is middle. And this is a company that employs over 225,000 people. Like,
Yeah.
So it's only 3% of the workforce, which is whatever. Still, that's still thousands of people, right? I mean, it's several thousand people worldwide. I don't know. It's a tough time. And yet it's a wonderful time, right? I mean, the company has never made more money. It's never been worth more than it is right now. And basically, and they're laying off people. It's just, it's a hard, I'm like, I don't know. It's the type of thing that you could imagine I didn't look at this. I don't know that it happened, but you could imagine from the perspective of Wall Street, this is seen as a positive, right?
Oh, sure.
They're lowering the costs. They're ostensibly getting rid of some of the lower performers, which is probably good for the business. They're being made more efficient, more streamlined, et cetera. This all sounds very good. It completely eliminates the human part of it, which is kind of a problem for me. But, and I'm sure for those who are laid off, right, it kind of sucks. So I don't know. This is not the one thing. I keep doing this. Like, there's no one thing, but this is one of those things that I really struggle with. Like, I just don't understand it. And so people will kind of cynically like, oh, they just made all this money. I'm like, yep, I don't have an answer for that.
Yeah. And it's everywhere across the company, by the way. It doesn't seem anything too specific. Although Miguel, who was famously at Microsoft and rather high up, tweeted out, he said, Microsoft laid off the senior engineers of .NET on Android and key figures of Maui.
Oh,
so
that's interesting.
Yeah.
So next week is Build. They just released a new .NET 10 preview, Maui, and what was the other one? Maui and .NET and Maui. Is that what you said?
.NET on Android.
On Android, yeah. So these are I mean, those are related, right? I
Yeah.
don't have a handle on this. So when you look at cross-platform development, like what's popular, Flutter, React, whatever it might be, I don't know. But where does .NET MAUI fall into this? Which, if people don't understand too, what you're implying here is that Miguel de Casa of Xamarin fame,
Yep.
who came and went at Microsoft, created the product essentially, or his company did, that became MAUI, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, there have been some, complaints there, right? I mean, they've tried to expand, it does Windows apps, right? But mobile apps. And is anyone, I don't know, what's the user base for this or
I
whatever?
can't
Like the
imagine. I
customer
can't
base.
imagine anyone's waking up and saying, "You know what? I'm going to build an Android app. I want to do it in .NET."
In
Like,
done, yeah, right. But then again, I mean, the people who might say that are the people who have been .NET/C# developers their whole
sure.
lives doing Windows, right? So there's ASP.NET and Blazor for the web stuff. There's
Mm-hmm.
MAUI for mobile. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean,
I
I don't know. I build stuff in .NET. I mean, it's if you're building
yeah.
a Windows app, it's fine.
hmm Yeah, God help you. I'm doing that myself right now, and it's a thankless task. But I really like C#. I mean, I like .NET.
Yeah, C Sharp. There's plenty of libraries. There's plenty of. It's fine
Yeah,
for Windows app development. Now granted, if you're going for the highest level of performance on Windows, .NET
yeah.
may not be for you. But you're probably already writing in C++ probably, and just doing
I don't
rolling your
well,
own and
or entity framework and
yeah.
doing like that stuff with C#. You could do Windows App SDK for native development, which is C# and .NET like at least. I mean, there's interop there for sure.
Was it WPF is the new future again?
I could tell you, I toiling in WPF every day. There is no future there. It is. I appreciate that they're finally belatedly coming back and supporting those people. They should. I mean, this is something they should have dropped. But WPF is a freaking nightmare, dude. It is. I don't think there's a human being on Earth who understands how like events bubble through an app. And what I mean by that is, if you click on the body of an application, there's like 30 things that could respond to that.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just, I really struggle. This is one of those things like, it's like unintended consequences. To me, you respond to an event with a particular control, and that should be the end of it. And if it isn't, there should be a way to just easily say, this is the only thing that will ever, but that's not how it works. And it's too complicated. It's the biggest problem right now. The stupid little app that I've written would be done by now if it weren't for this thing like that. It's just constantly, it's other things are responding to things. And it's like, I don't, doesn't make any sense, man. It's crazy. Someone out there is thinking it actually does make sense, Paul.
Yeah.
You're an idiot. And I get that, but
If you
but
live and breathe, if that's all you're doing, I'm sure it absolutely makes sense. It's the same
I
people.
don't, what, even then, I don't think it does. I hear you, but if you are that person, seriously, get outside. There's a sun, there's trees and leaves and stuff. Like you have to have dedicated your entire life to understanding the intricacies of how stupid this thing is.
I haven't angered
He says,
anybody in a
having
while.
dedicated
Jesus.
his life to Windows. The biggest hypocrite that's ever lived. Anyway, that's, I don't know. I like .NET. Oh, well.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep.
Anyways, Sony might jack up the price of the PlayStation 5, and by might, I think it's all but assured that they
Oh,
will at
no,
this
it's just a
point.
matter of timing.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep. So if you have any ideas, if you live in the United States, you haven't bought one yet, and you're thinking you want to do it, I would pull the trigger on that
Yeah,
pretty
don't wait
quick.
for Black Friday because it will.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's like,
Was that said on their earnings call or their earnings
yeah,
release? Oh, yeah,
yeah. Earnings
that's
call. Yeah.
absolutely happening.
They didn't specify PlayStation, but that's what they meant. It was one of those things. But yes, they're yeah.
Did they specify some unidentified home consoles being reason price?
Yeah, something like that. Like the majority of PlayStation 5 sales are in North America. They've
Yeah.
already raised prices in, no, actually, maybe not in
No,
Canada. I
they
think it was
raise
Europe.
prices everywhere but here.
everywhere but here. Yeah. So it's inevitable, right? I mean, they're going to look at diversifying where they build these things, et cetera, et cetera. But the reality is those things happen slow, and
Right.
the tariff thing could just change tomorrow. You know, they've already taken a $700 million hit, I think, in one quarter,
Oof.
right? Straight off the top, which is tough.
Oof.
For especially these guys, it's all entertainment for them now. It's music, videos, and video games, and
Insurance.
that's where all this stuff is hitting. It's bad.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I don't
Well, at
know.
least the tariffs make sense. They don't have to worry about it.